We want to build the #1 international baseball league.
Oh, what a catch! What a catch, baby!
Like I said, I feel blessed.
The pitcher grabbed by Schlitter goes for the force of the plate.
Ground ball, double play, game over. Wow!
This is a money ball, gentlemen, and this.
Oh, money ball!
Back at it with the Baseball United podcast, the premier voice in international baseball. Once again, I'm your host, Liam Skiffington. A fantastic guest today we got lined up for you guys. This guy was a legend in Japan. He's played in Taiwan. He's played in China. He's played in the Yankees organization. And now with Baseball United, with us, he's helping us put players on the field. He's helping us scout players, get the best product on the field for all of our events. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the show, Mr. Carlos Mirabal. Carlos, what's going on, my man? It's great to see you.
Hey, Liam, thank you so much, man. That's a great intro to the show. You made me sound really good. You know, I like that whole legend in Japan stuff. It's awesome.
It's easy to make you sound good, man. It's great to see you. How have you been since the last time I saw you we were at Yankee Stadium, actually, last time I saw you.
Yeah, no, that was a great experience. You know, I always like going to the Yankee Stadium, and I've been good. I've been busy. Baseball United is, we're doing a lot of things, man, and it's super busy. I also help out with players as well, just to try to help them develop their careers. And I'm always doing something, some way, some shape or form with baseball. So, busy is a good thing, and it's busy in a good way.
Absolutely. You really are truly a baseball lifer, Carlos. Let's start a little bit from the top. Like I just said, we were at Yankee Stadium. Yeah. You were in the Yankees organization. Tell me how that came about.
Well, I was pitching in Puerto Rico. When I was first in high school, I was, scouted prospect. The Kansas City Royals had me at 88 miles an hour my sophomore year. Now, this goes back to, oh my gosh, this got to go back to like the 80s, like the 87-ish, 88, 1987, 88 for all you young people out there. But I was highly recruited from colleges and some pros. That kind of stuff. So when I didn't get drafted, I was undersized. I was only 5'11", 65 pounds, but I was able to hit a ball over 400 feet. I was able to throw, 88, 89 miles an hour, and a little faster when I, got a little older. But, I didn't pass the eye test. You know what I mean? Little guy, little skinny guy. I could fly, I could run, I could dunk a basketball 2 hands behind my back. I was very athletic, but just very skinny. So, college, I went to briefly Fairleigh Dickinson University, but I let me be honest, I wasn't an academic guy. Went to a vocational school, so now go to a Division I school. I just said, you know what, baseball is what I want to do. School is not my avenue. So packed up whatever I had. Brother gave me a credit card with some money on it and went to Puerto Rico, played in the AA League. Back then, the AA League was with the Agua de Tiburones. It was highly recruited, highly scouted. It was an amateur league back then, no professionals. My manager was a former ball player, Juan Beniquez, played with the Yankees, kicked around a little bit. And I did well. And I was being scouted, and I signed with the Yankees organization from there. Unfortunately, when I went to minor league camp in Tampa, I had an elbow injury. It wasn't Tommy John. It was just the nerve, ulnaropathy surgery where they repositioned the nerve. And then I did what I tell everybody else to do, just keep playing. I went to play independent ball. I had the opportunity to go play winter baseball in San Juan after I played a year in Altoona. It was all new back then, not like it is today. And then I had this opportunity where I could go to Taiwan or go winter ball. And I chose to go to Taiwan. And Willie Randolph at that time gave me a little advice and said, hey, go overseas. Don't forget about your injury. Work your way from Taiwan to Japan and then work your way back. Exactly that happened. The only problem is when I got from Taiwan to Japan, I couldn't get back to the United States. And that was contract-wise. They wouldn't let me out of my contract. There's, the business side of baseball I was just learning. I didn't have an agent at that time, and then I signed an agent while I was in Japan, but he's based out of St. Louis. But I didn't know the business, so I'm learning. I'm just going on the fly. but my passion was always baseball. So I was the guy that was wherever I went, I was just going to dominate, and it worked. 3 years in Taiwan, then I got to Japan. I was a closer with the Nippon Ham Fighters the first 2 years there. But after my first year, then the Yankees actually called back. They said, "We want you to come back. We want you back in. We want you back in." But now this is like your minor leagues. This was your minor league route. You're ready now. I just, Rockies, everybody. I just couldn't get on my contract. One of the New York papers wrote a story about it at that time, saying if I wanted to challenge and be like Kurt Flood of Japan, and I'm not going to do all that. I just want to play ball. So it took me, staying in Japan to play ball. But I love baseball. I loved it. I loved every minute of playing baseball in Japan. I love the Japanese culture. I love the Japanese style of baseball because they still do the hit and runs. They still do the bunting. They still, I pitched against Ichiro Suzuki. If you can't be quick to home plate, quicker than a 1-3, you're going to give up a lot of stolen bases because everybody can run. Everybody's fast. Their goal is get on base, steal second, and they're going to score. So I was 6 years with the Nippon Ham Fighters, had a shoulder injury, just a lot of wear and tear. Signed what they call back then was a 5-10 with the Houston Astros, 500,000 major league, 10,000 AAA. Now, I don't even know what the minimum is now, like 700 and plus. So I'm not even sure they have.
I think it's 740 now. I think
Yeah,
it's
so now
740.
maybe it's like a 710, And then I got released at the very end because of my shoulder. But they loved me. They wanted me to stay on as a coach in the minor leagues. But at that time, because I was only a year and a half out of surgery, I said, I don't want to give it up yet to be a coach. I want to still try to, recover from this injury. So if you look at the story I'm telling you, it's one of those that it just seemed to have a different shift and a different route of how to continue and to get to the high levels. Financially, I was up there with everybody else. Talent wise, from all the people that watch me play, were basically like, no, you're a big league level pitcher. So I did everything I wanted to accomplish in baseball, as a player, because I love to play. If you ever asked me when I was a little kid, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a professional baseball player. I wasn't like, I want to be this or that. I just want to be a baseball player. My job is to be a baseball player. And I have succeeded in that. And now I get the opportunity to help people before me, the kids of all over the world, especially with Baseball United in India. And now, I could reach into the Pakistan and Sri Lanka, and I even got Afghanistan. I got a kid in Afghanistan that runs in the mountains, a left-handed pitcher that I found, and that's what I do. I search it out, and I enjoy everything I did as a player. And I was trying to show them I wasn't the first round pick. I wasn't the draft pick, but you know what? I still succeeded. I still got to the level. I still got to this high level as a professional baseball player. If I can do it, you can do it, because I didn't take your route that you normally take.
It's one of the beautiful things about this game, isn't it, Carlos, that there's so many different avenues for so many different players to excel at the highest level, to get to the highest level.
Absolutely. And what we're trying to do right now with the logo, Baseball United, what are we trying to do? We're trying to create that level, not necessarily for everybody in the world, but right now, that market of, those kids in India and Pakistan, and give them an opportunity to see that you can play baseball at a young age. And there is a mountaintop. You know what I mean? There is that mountaintop. For us in the United States and a lot of people around the world, it's the MLB. But then there's the Nippon Professional Baseball League. There's the KBO, the Korean Baseball Association. There's the CPBL, Chinese Professional Baseball League. So there's baseball everywhere. And I think what we're doing with Baseball United gives that opportunity for kids to now look and say, wow, okay, I have something. I have something. I got a goal. I can create a dream. I can take this as a young kid, and I can get to a mountaintop. There is somewhere for me to go with this. And I think that's important.
Absolutely. Carlos, so I want to talk to you a little bit about how you got into coaching, first of all. How did you start scouting all of these players from all over the world, finding these diamonds in the rough, essentially?
All right. So this is where, just being around baseball. So this is how it happened. So I'll give you this. So I won't go into my personal stuff, but sometimes athletes go through divorces when they stop playing. So it was just again my pivot to want to continue to play baseball. So I actually went to Germany as a manager for the Cologne Cardinals, and I spent a year over there. So I developed some relationships in the European baseball, and with coaches and different people that are part of federations and things out there. Well, then I had to do a little pitching, right? So we had one guy that was with the Tampa Bay Rays organization that came over from Dominican, but he had a visa issue, so he had to leave. So I had to pitch a little bit in the league.
How old were you?
Oh my gosh, I have to say this was 2000. What was it? 2018. So I'm what? So maybe 43, 44, somewhere in that area.
Were you nervous at all to get back on the mound?
Absolutely not, man. That's my shoot. I could take the mound right now. Like I get goosebumps. Like just thinking about it. That's my drug. Like that's my adrenaline rush. You give me a baseball and get a uniform and get on the mound, and I'm ready to go. I don't care if I warm up or not. I'm ready to go. But I pitched, and then we got a college kid that came over, so I stopped pitching. But then I got him signed to the LMB in the Mexico League, so I started pitching again. Well, when you put that stuff on the Instagrams and you do the LinkedIn's, and now it starts to get attention. 40 something years old, and I'm pitching. And I get people reaching out to me from all over the place. Well, then my cousin sees me in Puerto Rico and says, "Hey, you're still pitching?" I'm like, "Well, my job is to try to coach." But so I went to Puerto Rico. I played in that same AA league with the Cabo Rojo Piratas, the Pirates. And now they allow professionals in there. So now I get in there, and Benito Santiago, the former catcher, is a manager of one of the teams. Alex Diaz played with Griffey in Seattle's my manager, and he's like, "Dude, you're like a coach." I'm like 44, 45 years old. He's like, "You're like a coach here." So I start pitching again. And now I'm pitching, and I'm losing weight. I'm getting back in shape, but I keep putting it on the Instagrams and the LinkedIn's. So now people are reaching out to me. Well, now some coaches and people from India start reaching out. So now I start connecting with these people just in conversation. Hey, we want to start baseball here. We like baseball. We see what you're doing. And then I just have a conversation, and one conversation leads to another. The next conversation with this person leads to this person. So next thing I know, I'm starting to have more conversations with actual baseball coaches in India. So then at the end of that year, I get back to Japan for the last month and a half in the Shikoku Island League as a pitching coach, and we won a championship. So now people, if you see the track on the Instagram, now they see me as a coach in Japan. So now when they see me as a coach in Japan, everybody's like, "Wow, he's back in Japan. Is this?" More people are reaching out. So at this point now I'm connected with different coaches in India. COVID hits. I was supposed to go back to Japan, but COVID hits. So now while COVID is hitting, well, what are people doing? People are dormant. People are home. So now I'm connecting with more coaches in India because now everybody's around asking me questions. Now I'm doing Zooms with I guess there would be like 13-year-old, 14, what's that, like 8th grade? I'm doing Zooms with schools, 80 something kids in a school. Everybody's on the Zoom though, because they can't be together. And I'm teaching baseball. I'm teaching what a baseball field is, what a foul line is, what a pitcher's mound is, trying to explain it and they're used to cricket. So they're asking me, well, in cricket, we hit the ball from the ground and it bounces. In baseball, you don't bounce it. I was like, well, you can bounce it and you can still hit it, but you know what I mean? So I'm trying to explain this. So, and then it leads to more coaches. Now I'm directly in contact with a lot of the coaches. So I'm starting to network and I'm starting to learn how India and their baseball programs work, their younger programs work, the coaches. I'm starting to learn all of this and piece it together. I connected with a person from India. Should I say his name? I don't know.
You can say his name.
All right. So I connected with a person, Vamsy, and we started doing more. He had a great vision of wanting to do more with the kids and the grassroots level. So I would advise him and got some connections through him as well. But my focus in India has always been the kids and the baseball, the actual baseball, like the actual throwing a baseball, hitting a baseball, fielding a baseball, not so much as the organization of trying to design tournaments or things like that. Mine was the actual, I want the kid on the screen. I want to go, hey, this is how you hold a fastball. This is how you hold this. This is how you throw this. You know what I mean? Grabbing a bat and saying, hey, this is how you hold your hands. This is where you position. This is what you do.
Teaching
So
the fundamentals of the game, right?
Exactly. And I stayed focused on that. So with the coaches, I started teaching the coaches from all over India. And I networked. I wrote them all down. So that's how that all kind of began, to kind of get through. And then when it came to Baseball United and Kash Shaikh and John Miedreich reached out to me because they kept hearing my name in India. When it kept coming around to baseball, we got, this guy named Carlos helping, because the history of India, there's always been people that wanted to help. But once they see how the structure of baseball works there, they fade out. They don't continue. I'm more of, I want to be consistent with teaching the game. I want to be more.
Can I interject? Why do you think that is? Why do you think it fades out like that?
I think it fades out when when too many outsiders hear a message of, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. They automatically assume that the baseball in the country is being played from every kid. The baseball in the country has Little League set up. They have this set up. They have that. And when they find out it doesn't, they don't want to put the time in there to continue, because they're looking at it from a financial, they don't have the finances to pay me to do this. They don't have the resources to continue to do this. They don't have that. So I took it like, you know what? Let me focus on the kids. Let me focus on the actual kid that has a glove or doesn't have a glove, and a tennis ball. Get a cricket ball, get a tennis ball. There's tennis over there. They can get a tennis ball. They can throw it against the wall. Do like what we did with stick ball. Grab a stick, grab rocks. There's always a way, as you heard from my path to baseball, there's always a way. So that's what I focused on. So while all the other people that tried to come in and do stuff and they can't do stuff and they promise and then they can't deliver and this, I stayed consistent with the coaches and the kids in baseball. And the kids take to that. So a lot of the kids and a lot of the coaches, they kind of trust me in like a guidance way. So when Baseball United came around and, Kash and John, they keep hearing my name out there, they said, we gotta meet this guy. So we discussed it. I had a sheet that had the coaches, the players, phone numbers, emails. And I just basically, they said, we want to work with you. You're already ahead of what we're trying to do. And basically collaborated that way and said, okay, here's my network. Here's everything that I just did. And even till today, I stay consistent with, my job with Baseball United is to train these kids, is to get them ready. And you saw firsthand when we went to Dubai that I got Akshay Moore was 6'5". He's skinny, but I had 15 pounds of muscle put on him. And he still looks skinny, but that's before when you saw him, Saurabh Gakwad and, Akshay Mogul, we brought him over there with the coach Vishnu. And I mean, they pretty much impressed, and that's years of developing the mindset, the physical part when it comes to actual pitching mechanics. And Akshay Mogul's a hitter. So converting him from a softball to a baseball, I mean, that's just years in the making. So when it came to a head in Baseball United, that's pretty much, to me, you saw it firsthand. I was crying. I was crying all over the place because it was firsthand experience of taking all of that and bringing it to a head. And with Baseball United, and not only bringing it to a head, but that's now the starting point of, further develop. These kids are rock stars in India now. I mean, they're getting awards. Saurabh had an injury. We helped rehab his injury, and he's getting an award from the state of India where he lives as like a comeback athlete, of the year. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They're currently and I don't even know if Kash knows about this yet, but we've talked with producers that have contacted us. They're doing a story on Saurabh Gakwad his life story, like a documentary movie. The guy wants
Wow.
to put it in one of the festival. He's going to film it and put it in the festival to see if it could be picked up by like a Netflix or something like that. And when the guy reached out to Vishnu and Vishnu reached out to me, and then I spoke to the guy over there. I mean, my part of all of this now is like, these kids trust me. So the first thing I said is, I'm not going to let you, hurt these kids. It has to be done to protect the kids. I want to make sure these kids are protected. Don't just take what they're doing and exploit it. Like, these kids have got to be represented in a great way. And how this all ties even more with Baseball United is Barry Larkin and Mariano Rivera, from the time at the beginning, their mission was, especially Barry, their mission was, we want to create culture of baseball in India and Pakistan and these countries. So I had a conversation with Barry and I said, the culture now, and when we're in Dubai, now is created. We just did it. Now there's more involvement of baseball coming from India with these kids. These kids just proved that your vision is now in progress. And I see it every day because I still train these kids, and I get the videos every day. I wake up to about, anywhere from, it could be, depending on the day, it could be anywhere from 10 to 40 videos of them doing weight training, because it's a rainy season. So I keep, letting them know, listen, it doesn't matter if it's a rainy season. We got to still do stuff. So I got Sir Gakwad in the gym with the ball, doing a pitching drill into the wall while you see guy doing squat right behind him. You know what I mean? Because that's my mentality, is we got to keep going. There's no stopping now. Now it's put your foot on the gas pedal and let's make more of an impression as we continue with the baseball.
You got these boys working, Carlos. One thing that stuck out to me the most of our experience in Dubai last year, I think it was the Monday or Tuesday of that week, and we were all at the field. It was obviously so hot, and I remember Kash came down and he went over to you and Akshay and Sarab and Akshay, and he said to Sarab, I want you to throw out the first pitch. And then everybody congregated right over there. This is before gameplay even started.
Yeah.
Like I said, this is a couple days before the showcase even happened.
Yeah.
Everybody on the field, their eyes were locked on that. And then, like you said, everybody, myself included, after that was crying. It was such a beautiful thing, probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen on a baseball diamond. Their appreciation for Kash, for you, for all of their coaches and everyone that helped get them to where they were just in that spot was absolutely incredible to see firsthand.
Oh, and there's even a little bit more to that. So to give everybody the whole story, is Akshay Moore threw off the mound. And I went out there, and you saw me when I was in Dubai. I was back and forth everywhere. I was helping in the clubhouse. I was helping bring the ice out there. I was doing everything.
Dude, you were a madman. You were all over the place.
So I wanted to be out there to see Akshay throw off the mound, because this is what we work for. You know what I mean? Like, this is what we did for years to get here. So I wanted to see him throw off the mound live. And I had one of my catchers when I was with Three Rivers, is Carlos Martinez. He was catching him. So Carlos got to AAA, I believe, at the highest level, AA, and he got a little bit of AAA. So he knows what to look for and everything like that. So when I was there watching, I asked Carlos, I said, hey, what do you think? And he was like, man, that ball's coming in pretty good. It's got good spin to it. It's got a sharp break to it. It's like, he really was like impressed. And this guy's caught, big leaguers. And so when it finished it, I gave him a hug. I started crying. I went to my knees because I was getting dizzy because I was crying, and John was crying. I was hugging John. I was like, thank you for this opportunity for these kids. And I was on my knees. Oh my God, I couldn't. And then the kids came over to me and were like, they're rubbing my back and like, no, it's okay. We all hugged. It was all of us in Vishnu. We all hugged and we're like, hey, we did it. We did it. So that happened. Kash was in the outfield somewhere walking. He was busy too. He was all over the place busy. And I was walking. I said, okay, I got to get back to the locker room. I got to go do some stuff. And I saw Kash and I was bawling. And he looks at me and I just gave him a big hug. And I started crying. I was like, I love you. I love you, man. I said, thank you for all of this. I was like, I love you. And he was like, I love you too. Great job. And we were hugging. So then that finished. Okay, got to get back to work now. You know what I mean? Kash is doing his thing. I got to get back to do what I got to do. So I get back in the locker room and I'm doing stuff. And then I get a message. And it's John's like, hey, grab Vishnu, come back out to the field. So I'm thinking, okay, Vishnu, we got to go do something. We got to go to work. Come on, let's go. So we go back to the field. And then we're all near the mound area, and Kash, he looks at me, he looks at Vishnu, Saurabh is there, and we had one of our catchers there, and he goes, hey, me and John just made an executive decision. We're going to let Saurabh throw a first pitch off the mound ever right now, like right this minute, while you guys were like out there, they were practicing, you guys were all running around getting stories and things, and he was just like, we're going to do it right now. So we're like, okay, we need a ball. We don't have a ball. So we had to get a ball. So then, but when he said that, Vishnu broke down crying and I was crying and Saurabh and everybody's hugging. And it was just a moment, like it was a moment of years in the works. So then Saurabh was like, what do I do? And I said, listen, just get on a mound, act like a pitcher and throw it. So I backed up and I said, Vishnu, take the ball, give it to him. I backed up because I said, let Vishnu and Saurabh have this moment. Let me get out of it. I helped bring it. I helped get it here. Now let them take it. And he threw the pitch off the mound. He looks at me. So I said, Saurabh, go hug your catcher. That's what you do, right? Because I'm teaching them as this is going on. I'm still teaching them. You go to your catcher first. You hug your catcher. You say thank you to your catcher. Then you come to us. So then he went to the catcher. He went to us. We took pictures, and everybody was crying. And it was one of those things to me. Number one, it was tiring because those emotions, man, like they beat you down. And physically, I'm, doing a lot of things. So I was like emotionally drained and physically drained. But it was one of those moments that was like, this was pretty amazing. And I remember that night that was the Thanksgiving, right? And then
I was just going to say, yeah. So I remember after that same night, we got back to the hotel and I DM'd you because I wanted like a quote from you to do a video on the next day. And then the next day we were at Dubai International Stadium again. And I was just walking around with a couple of the other guys. And then I remember you were like on the stairs in one of the clubhouse and you said, is that Liam? And I said, yeah. And then you took me around the entire stadium and you and I talked for probably about 20, 25 minutes. And I remember we grabbed lunch for everyone too, because it was getting delivered. Yeah. Incredible.
Yeah. And I explained everything to you, what was going on. And that, see, because that was one of those things like, with Baseball United, I kind of been with them since the beginning from that perspective, from the part of India, when obviously I'm not over there, doing the hard work of getting the permits like Kash does, like John does. Like that's just tremendous amounts of hard work. I don't even know how to do that stuff, but when I see them do it, I try to learn as much as I possibly can from watching those two. And Eddie Diaz and the way Victor Campos talks to the players and things, I try to observe and I try to watch as much as I can to learn that part of it, because I've always been on the field. And as a coach, as a manager and a coach, it's always been about the stuff on the field, the players and yes, some administrative, organizational things like that, but it's always been about the baseball part for that. And, when you have a team like this and I see Kash and how busy they are and things like that, it's just one of those things that up until Dubai, I'm not even sure people really understood there were prospects or there were kids in India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, or any of that stuff until we actually got them to Dubai. And in India, Vishnu, he's the coach that helps out over there, like on the ground with the kids. He's known these kids since they were like little kids. And, we work well together and developing. So he's asking me questions and, I provide video, I provide whatever. We actually, tomorrow, we're going to jump all of us, all the players and him and myself, we're jumping on the Zoom and we're going to make it a bi-weekly thing of just me keeping them motivated, me teaching them not just the baseball part of swinging, throwing, catching, but now the mentality part, now hey, this is a situation you may be in on the mound with first and second and this and that. So now I got to teach them where you're supposed to be, back up, do this, do that, a little bit more of those kinds of things. And when we got to Dubai, and there was times that those kids were like, is this really going to happen? Is this really going to happen? And I kept saying, yes, 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 it's going to happen. You got to trust me. You got to trust me. And it wasn't until they got on the planes and then were able to, get the videos and put it on their social media that the people in India started to believe that it was really happening. And that's when it just kind of blew up. And that's where like yourself and others that were there with media and just everybody, they didn't really understand the buildup of all of this stuff. So that's kind of my part with Baseball United. I might not be seen with what I'm doing, but that is the part of the product of baseball that I'm doing. And that's the foundation of Baseball United. When we want to be in that Middle Eastern, Southern Asia with India, Pakistan, and Sri Lanka and all those different countries, Saudi Arabia, is the legwork that I've helped provide from my part is a foundation for everything else that can kind of come about, which is the part that you see mostly from the other, extraordinary people that we have at Baseball United doing their hard work. So, Cash mentioned at one time, it was like, I'm like more of like the behind the scenes with the baseball operations, which is true. I'm not looking for the glory of it. I'm not looking for to be out on the spotlight for all of this. That's why a perfect example of that for me is when Serb was taking the mound to throw the first pitch. I gave the ball to Vishnu and backed up. Let them have the moment. Let them have it. I had my moments as a player. You know what I mean? So I get it, but now let them have it. Let me be the guy that's behind the scenes to get these guys this opportunity to become superstars, rock stars, and help put the product, as well as Eddie Diaz. We work together every day, and John gets pulled away a little bit more with Cash now, which is important. But me and Eddie, converse every day on the baseball operations side, whether it comes, for players, equipment, coaches, that kind of stuff. So I kind of like that. You know what I mean? This is good for me though to get this opportunity because, with the background I have in Japan, this kind of interview can be very helpful for exploring those parts of the part of Asia with Baseball United.
Well, you alluded to this earlier, Carlos, a little bit. All the prospects from India, from Saudi Arabia, from Sri Lanka, all over the place. Part of what we're trying to do here at Baseball United is build those baseball cultures in those countries, in that region. And the work you're doing is so important and essential to that, because these younger kids need to have someone to look up to that is succeeding in this sport. They need to know that it's possible. So the work you're doing is so essential to our mission.
Absolutely. And the good thing about it, that I always try to explain to people, because when other baseball people see Baseball United, whether it's former front office people from MLB teams, Nippon professional baseball teams, whether it's former coaches, players, scouts, everybody wants to be involved, right? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create that in the market. Like, we want to be that number one elite, so everybody wants to be part of us. So you have scouts out there that, hey, I want to be part of you. I want to do this. I want to do that. But they don't even understand what this is. They're used to the formats of what they've been doing with the other organizations. I'm fortunate enough at this level right now, at the foundational level with these kids, is not only scouting the kids, I get a chance to develop the kids. I get a chance to know the kids. I get a chance to guide them as a mentor in the right direction, even with off-field stuff. Like, they come to me now, like if they have a situation and they need somebody to talk to or something, I'm there for them. So I kind of get that opportunity to be able to do a lot that maybe a normal scout just might scout somebody or recommend, hey, change this or do this or whatever, fill out a scouting report. No, I fill out the scouting reports, but I'm still trying to find those kids that are maybe that, like, give you an example. We found a 13-year-old kid, or no, 12-year-old kid. in Pakistan that's a lefty. I found a 13-year-old kid in India that's a right-handed pitcher that the 13-year-old kid looks really, really good right now. His pitching mechanics, he's been working with Vishnu. Now I got a hold of him. Now we're going to take that kid and make him the future of everything. But I get that opportunity to develop. So it's a unique position. I'm fortunate to be in position where outside baseball people might not really understand it. Hey, I'm a scout. I used to be with this major league organization. I want to be with Baseball United. I want to go scout in India. No, you don't go scout in India because right now it's the rainy season. They don't play baseball again until like September because it rains. So if they're able to get outside and practice and play as kids and do something, great. But there's a lot of rain going on. So how do I do that? Well, while you're in the gym, grab your glove, look in the mirror, and visualize yourself fielding a ground ball. Work on your footwork. Get a ball, a softer ball, something, throw it into the wall at the gym. The one kid it was raining really hard, but he found a covering where he could stay and dry. He was doing dry swings. And he would send me, and he put his camera up there and he sends me the video. And I said, put your hands up, put your hands here, do this, do that. And he's still working. You know what I mean? You're not going to find a MLB scout from the New York Yankees do that. They're not doing that. You know what I mean? They're not, we got strength coaches, trainers, everybody wants to be involved. They're not doing this stuff. You know what I mean? They're not going to spend time looking on a video of a kid swinging a baseball bat when it's raining out. Right? Because why?
And give him tips on top of that.
And give them tips. And because they're, they don't see big picture. You know what I mean? They don't see big picture. Cash talks about it all the time, and John talks, you got to see the vision. The vision takes work to become that vision, to make it reality, right? You got to have the vision, but you got to have the path to get there. And then what Kash is amazing at is pivoting. When that path doesn't look so straight, he's got to pivot.
It's incredible.
Exactly. So how do I relay that to these kids? I say baseball is a game of adjustments. When you're out there on a baseball field, you got to make an adjustment. Well, what we're learning now is it's the same thing in business. It's the same thing in entrepreneurship, in creating Baseball United. What do we see from our leader? You got to pivot. Sometimes you got to change. You got to, but you can't lose the vision. You can't lose the passion. Pat Tillman, I'm an Arizona Cardinal fan, everybody, you can see.
There we go. Carlos, for those not watching on video, Carlos just flashed a tattoo of the Arizona Cardinals football team logo.
Cardinals. I got that when they were in the Super Bowl. Pat Tillman used to talk about, if you're not passionate about what you're doing, then why are you doing it? You know what I mean? And, I'm one of those guys that, I'm passionate about what I do. And that's why I do it. And I'm trying to relay that to these kids now. I always tell people this, and I said this to Barry Larkin. I said, I take this like a baseball mentality. I'm having fun. I'm enjoying what I do. But at the same time, when it comes to it, I'm that bulldog out there. You know what I mean? I'm that same pitcher that when it's time to go between the lines, I'm gonna do everything I can to win, to get you out, to dominate. So I'm taking that and learning how to try to do that now with whatever Kash or John tell me to do. Like, hey, we need you to do this. Or, okay, I'm going to learn from you guys and I'm going to apply it. I'm going to take that same mentality. I'm going to do it. Well, how do I approach these kids? Stop being so shy. Akshay Moore, and they're very polite, very respectful.
I will say this. I was just going to say this, Carlos. Every single time those three boys saw me in Dubai, they came up to me, made it a point to say hello to me. Whether it was the morning having breakfast, on the field, every single time they saw me, they came up, shook my hand, and said, "Hey, Liam, how are you?" And then went about their business. But just that show of respect, it just speaks again to their passion and their appreciation for being in the position of being part of the showcase.
Absolutely. And that's their personalities. And that's something I try to make sure I teach those kids is, hey, when you see Liam, when you see Kash, when you see John, when you see Eddie, when you see Victor, when you see these guys, go up to them, say hello. Don't just kind of be shy about it. Go up to them, say hello. These are the people that brought you here. These are the people, these are your bosses. These are the people that are going to help you. Say hello to them, shake their hand. You know what I mean? Don't be nervous about it. Be respectful, be nice, But at the same time, when it's time to play and get on that field, get these guys out. You got to
Right.
switch and be dominant. And that's the thing I'm working on these guys. And I think when we had our showcase, I think you saw it with Akshay Moore. He threw his bullpens and he did great, and he convinced everybody that, wait a minute, the original plan was to put the prospects of the pitching against the prospects of the hitting. Now, yeah, they did that, but at the same time, when they saw him throw the bullpen, they were like, wait a minute, we might be able to put these kids up against the former big leaguers or former AAA guys or current AA hit, you know what I mean, hitters. And they threw Akshay up against, I think it was it Simmons, I think he pitched against.
I think it was Simmons.
Yeah, he got him to pop out to right field, and then Saurabh Gaikwad was out there and he gave up. I mean, unfortunately, he gave up the money ball to Pablo Sandoval, but he was in the situation to give up the money ball.
You know what? Also, Carlos, I've talked about this with some people as well. As a baseball player, you're going to have to learn that and take those lumps at some point or another. So honestly, and I don't know how you feel about this, but it was probably good that he got that out of the way, like kind of this early in his career, because now he knows how to deal with that kind of stuff.
Exactly. And I told him afterwards, I said, hey, man, pick your head up. You be proud. You're here. Look around. You're in Dubai. You're on a baseball field. There's
making history
here. Robinson Cano, Didi Gregorius, Bartolo Colon. I mean, look at where you're at. You gave up a home run. So what? I mean, you know what? Pick your head up. Look at where you just accomplished more than most people have ever done in the country of India. You know what I mean? And be proud of that. Yeah, you gave up a home run. So what? But you know what? You're viral right now because that home run is like everywhere and being talked about everywhere. So who do they see? They see you throwing it. You know what I mean? So you're in that. That's like the person that gave up the home run to Hank Aaron, right?
Yep.
You always see him throw the pitch. And then when Hank Aaron's running around, you always see that one guy run around third base with him. He's in every single video for the rest of history. So I told Saurabh, I said, man, the accomplishment alone of you stepping on that baseball field, be happy, be proud. And he is. That's the great thing about baseball, right? It's experiences, it's life experiences. We always want to do good, but how many perfect games have ever been thrown? Not many. So to be perfect is not really there.
This game teaches you how to deal with failure. And as a pitcher, Carlos, you know that better than anybody.
Exactly. And that's a mentality, right? And that becomes that's something that you learn as a young player is, hey, you're going to give up hits, you're going to give up home runs, but you know what? It's how you respond when that happens. Are you the one that's going to put your head down and put your glove over your face and start cursing, or you're like, give me a ball, let's get the next guy. You know what I'm saying? And that takes practice. That's a mentality, and that's something that I try to work on with these kids. When I pass messages along to them, like, hey, when you're swinging a baseball bat out there, you're not just swinging a baseball bat. You're visualizing yourself on the field getting a hit. You're visualizing yourself do this. When you're pitching or using a towel and doing your drills, you're visualizing yourself in the game. You're visualizing you just give up a ground ball and that go cover first base. You know what I mean? And that's something that's the biggest challenge, I guess, that I have is the amount of repetitions to get these kids. That's the hard part. So when I have Vishnu's out there, on the field with the kids, I'm like, okay, we can work on pitching mechanics all we want, but I want these kids fielding ground balls. I want these kids fielding bunts. I want these kids covering first base. I want them working on pickoffs. I want them working on those things. You
want them to be complete baseball players, complete pitchers.
Exactly. And the reason I want them to work on that is because, I don't want them to give up a hit and be standing on the mound just looking at it when they could be backing up third base. You know what I mean? Or they could be doing something. So I'm always trying to get them to understand. And that's the part of lack of repetitions is to understand if I can put it in their mind now and rehearse it. It's like a movie, right? So when it happens in real time, I've seen this movie before. Oh, base hit over there, I got to go cover first. Base hit over here, I got to go back up this. Here, you know what I mean? So that's the challenges that I have. And that's the part I mentioned before, where if you get normal scouts or you get normal baseball people, yeah, they want to be involved in Baseball United because it's in Dubai, but they don't want to do that work. I enjoy doing that work. You know what I mean? I enjoy it. Being on the phone with Vishnu, and we're on what is it, the FaceTime over the WhatsApp, and I'm like, okay, wait, turn the camera this way and do this and do this. Let me see this. Let me see that. No, go throw this. Go do this. You know, I enjoy that. And sometimes it's like I said, it's not always um, I guess publicized, you know, on the social medias, or the videos I have on my phone are not always put out there for people to see, which is fine because they shouldn't be seeing that. But that's the stuff that I do, and that's the stuff that how I get these players ready. And they ask me questions, you know, whatever questions they have for me, and what is it like being in front of 40,000 people pitching, and you know what's going through your mind, or you know what are you doing when you're doing this or thinking about, and you know that kind of stuff. So, you know, I enjoy it, and you're not going to see people, you know, they just can't do it. You know what I mean? And that's the stuff that Cash, John, Eddie, you know, they see what I'm doing, and I show it to them. I'm like, hey, look at my phone. Look at what I'm doing. You know, I'm up at 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes because of the time zone. You know, doing, you know, FaceTime with some of the kids while they're out there on the ball field. To give you an example, and I know I talk a lot of how you got to be patient with this stuff. I'm trying to get them to learn the stopwatch, the running. So I have a video with the one coach. We're trying to teach him. He has a watch like this. You see the kid in the video down here. He runs, he hits the watch. As the kid is passing, he's just following with the watch. He never stops it. He just follows as it's going with the watch like this. He doesn't go stop. You know what I mean? So that's the level sometimes that we have, you know, I have to, me and Vishnu, or I have to try to teach. And I, like I said, I enjoy it, but there's other people that they won't put the effort in it. They won't put the time in it. And those are the unseen things that later, the vision, right? Cash, the vision, the passion, later they'll be seen on the baseball field.
Absolutely, Carlos. How do you see us as an organization influencing the global growth of this sport as we move on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years ahead?
You know, I kind of see it as it's already started, right? I do a lot of talking to people in Japan with the organizations, NPB organizations, not just from the players or coaches standpoint, but equipment, you know, baseball glove companies, or things like that. People that manage athletes off the field over there. And they're saying that the buzz around the NPB right now is about Baseball United. Like there's a lot of buzz being talked about on those baseball fields in Japan in the NPB. And I'll have a conversation with one of the guys over there, and he'll be like, hey, I got a player for you. Or I got a coach. He was with this organization. He wants to coach with Baseball United. And they'll be like, yeah, I was talking on the field with a couple of players, and then they heard Baseball United, and they started talking more. Like, yeah, we heard about what's going on. How do we get involved? What do we do? So the buzz is created, right? And then this is where my part is still learning of what Cash and John and their vision of how they take all of that buzz information and present it and build it and build upon it. You know what I'm saying? I've been involved in um, when I got to Taiwan, it's called the Taiwan Major Leagues, right? TML. And it was a brand new, they were trying to compete with the CPBL, and it was all brand new. So I seen a lot of what they did and how they did it and how they didn't do certain things that they should have done. You know, and that's why they didn't succeed so many years into the league. So when I look at Cash, and I look at the vision he has, and I look at the passion he has, and I look at Barry Larkin, and I talk with Barry, and I had a conversation with Mariano. Remember when we were at the Yankee Stadium? I see the vision of what they're doing. I was the vision of what they're trying to do. I feel as a kid, and working all those different ways that I became a ball player. So I see what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I just want to make sure the product of the baseball that my part with these kids is matching So when it's time for it to get bigger, it's there. You know what I mean? From that perspective. I do believe that in the next, months and 2 years, we can become the elite. We can become the elite organization. There is a passion for baseball everywhere around this world. And we're starting to expose it and exploit it in a lot of these Middle Eastern countries and like I said, in India. Um, and people are seeing it that had never saw it before. MLB, what is it? I posted the one thing that Cash posted. It was a guy hit the home run at the Cincinnati Reds, Ellie De La Cruz, and it went right near the Baseball United thing. How amazing is that, right? To see that sign near the bullpen and home runs just kind of going there. I mean, that's the vision that Barry keeps talking about, right? And how to create overseas in these countries, and now it's on video. So I truly believe Baseball United is right now in that buzz phase, right, where people are talking, and then once we get going a little bit more, and then we start putting on our events and things that we have, when Cash, tells us like this is what we're doing, I think it's going to grow. It's going to be even bigger. I think people are going to start to realize like I have to be on that baseball field. I have to be the product of baseball on that field. Um, as opposed to, yeah, I just want to be there. I want to be there. No, it's going to be like, no, I have to be there. And then you're going to start getting some of the higher level players, and the competition is going to be better. And I believe the people that are, Cash, John, Eddie, all the people that are working to make this happen, I believe from what I see, they're doing it. You know what I mean? I believe they're doing it. And again, some of it I don't understand because I'm the baseball guy. You know what I mean? So, I'm trying to learn as much as I can, about some of those presentations on meetings and things. And I'm trying to learn, okay, well, I gotta step up my game a little bit on that end because it's all new to me. You asked me to take this baseball and go out there and show you how to throw a fastball and a curveball. That's easy. You know what I mean? That's the easy stuff. But the level of work that Cash and everybody are doing to make this successful, it's going to work. I'm not one of those guys that I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to do this. I know it's going to work. You see what I'm saying? Like from what I've seen and how I've seen like the TML, I have seen the NPB. I had those opportunities to see those different. I know it's going to work. I know it's going to be there because I know Cash is putting the right pieces in place to make it work. Do you see what I'm saying? Like that's the difference of how I see it. I'm not one of those. Yeah, I think this might work. No. It's going to work once everybody gets an opportunity to see us do more in the coming months, year, 2 years, 3 years. It's going to work. It's going to be there. And my part is the baseball part, right? That's the fun part for me. It's the seeing Akshay Moore out there in uniform and Saurabh Gaikwad in uniform and Akshay Mogul and more guys that you don't even know about yet that are in the works that we're kind of there's some more coming. And Pakistan, same thing with Pakistan, and there's more out there, and it's going to be exciting.
It's absolutely undeniable that our leadership sets the tone for everybody else in the organization and how they lead. What sticks out to you particularly, Carlos, about this leadership and how they go about their business here?
The thing I like most, and as we're saying this, Cash just put out a post where he was speaking, and I reposted it, and I put on a comment on LinkedIn. I said, "There's leaders that make their teams want to run through brick walls." I said, Cash is one of those leaders, makes the players want to run through a brick wall. I said, and that's our leadership, and I love it. I love the you get it done, period, type attitude, right? George Steinbrenner, we want to succeed, period. And I like the passion that I see from Cash, John, Eddie, Barry, I mean, it just, to me, it's one of those things that's like, I feel like a player right now. Like I feel like a player that's waking up excited to put his uniform on and go play in the game. You know what I mean? Not like the guy that's waking up going, "Oh man, I got to go to the ballpark today." I'm like, "Let's go." You know what I mean? Like that's what I see in our leadership. I see the passion. I see the heart. I always talk about heart. Like if you don't have that, then it ain't gonna work. And at the same time, you see how smart they are. Like you see the pivots that he made. You see that stuff. You see the behind the scenes stuff. I mean, it's unbelievable. I get comments all the time from some of our coaches or some of the guys that are, when they see that, they're just like, this is, they've been involved in MLB and, they're like, this is elite. This is elite level stuff. To me, I think it's one of those, like I said, you run through a brick wall for some people, right? Your coach, you run your skipper, your manager. I had a manager, Trey Hillman. It's the same. I run through a brick wall for that guy. It's the same with Cash. It's like if Cash said, "Hey, I need you to run through that brick wall," I wouldn't even question it. I just do it. You know what I mean? And I think when you have that that kind of leader, you don't fail ever. It just doesn't work that way. Like those kinds of leaders, like what Cash is displaying and what Cash shows, you don't fail. Even if other people think you fail, you don't. You just don't fail. You never fail. And I think what happens is, you have the team behind them that wants to succeed no matter what, period. You know what I mean? And I like that mentality. It's like all or nothing. Let's get it. I really like that and I enjoy it. I see that. And when I see a passionate leader or a passionate person that really cares about getting the job done, that's the person I want to work for. You know what I mean? That's not the guy that hesitates, not the guy that's, well, I don't know if it's gonna. No. Let's go all in, no matter what. You know what I mean? And when you do that, you can hold your head up high. You can be proud of what you're doing, no matter what. And that's what, to me, that's what it's all about. And that shows. I believe it shows in our for the outside people, like in our social media. When you see the videos that are posted and everybody reposts them and you show it, I get the feedback. See, I get the feedback from more of the Japanese, right? Because I talk to them a lot. And I get the feedback from the India. And everybody wants to be a part of us. Everybody I talk to wants to be, anybody I talk to wants to be a part of us. It doesn't matter if it's a player, a coach, a manufacturer of like gloves, bats, baseballs, whatever. Everybody wants to be a part of us. Some way, some shape, some form of something. And when you create that, I guess what's the word I'm looking for? That want from everybody, you've done something right. You know what I mean? You've done something right. And that's why I look at John, Miedreich, Eddie Diaz. They're the baseball ops guys, even though John is now more with Cash too as well. I mean, you look at the leadership, I think it's like Cash says, it's elite. It's right there.
The passion and the work ethic from this leadership, Carlos, just makes it so easy for everyone, I feel like, in the organization to get up and give it their 110% every single day. Because in my opinion, everybody in this organization sees the vision and we all share that vision. We share that passion. We all want to do everything we possibly can to make this dream a reality. And we're definitely getting there. We're on our way there, no doubt.
Yeah, I'll give you a perfect example. You've seen it firsthand. Some of the guys seen it firsthand. We talked about my playing career in Japan, right? We talked about that's the prime of my career, Taiwan and Japan. Won a championship in Taiwan, got to the playoffs in Japan, pitched against all of those guys. There's some great things that I did in Japan as a player. I was that guy on the mound. I was that opening day starter. I was that. So then what do we see in Dubai? We had a meeting, and I'm going to share something with you that not many people know. Only some of us know.
A Baseball United podcast exclusive. Let's go.
I'm going to share it in a second. So when we get there, the first thing I did to Cash, I walked in the office and I gave him one of my uniforms, my jersey tops. It was from 2004 when the Nippon Hand Fighters moved from Tokyo to Sapporo, the first year in Sapporo. So I gave him a 2004 jersey. Said, I'm here ready to work. And he was like, okay, I hope you mean it because we're working hard. So I think I showed everybody my work ethic. And Kash was like, okay, Carlos, you're going to be in charge of the locker room area. You're going to be in charge of this. I was pretty much doing like what a clubby does. So can you imagine taking Mariano Rivera and throwing him out there and being a clubby?
Nope.
Well, for Japan, I'm nobody's Mariano level baseball, but for being a NPB closer, starter, opening day starter, here I am doing clubby duties. And I don't say a word some people knew who I was and my background, but not everybody. So there's times where John would be listening and I'm like, hey, you think the clubby can get me this? And John would look at him and go, he's not a real clubby. Like he's doing this because he's Baseball United. He's been a part of this from the beginning. And Kash said, we're going to have to wear multiple hats. So he's busting his ass to get this stuff done with the uniforms, with the locker rooms, with everything. And he's like, how many of you guys have a video on your phone of you getting Ichiro out on 3 pitches? You see what I mean? They're like, what do you mean? They're like, no, this dude's a freaking legend in Japan, And they're like, really? What? Like, we see him running around, sweating, carrying ice. Well, but that's what I talk about when I say run through walls for your leader. The leader says, you're in charge of this. You're in charge of that. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. You know what I mean? There's no, I don't want to do that. I was a baseball player. I don't want to be the guy that's, washing or getting a uniform to get washed or handing out. No. I took it as pride because if I don't do that, nobody's doing it. So somebody's got to make sure these players, because that's the product. Somebody's got to make sure. And Kash told me that's my job. So to give you the amount of how I put into this is I was, this part, and this is not I'll share the other part with you in a second. And I might have told you that, but they rewarded me by being in uniform on the field in the dugout because of what I did. And when we were getting ready to run on the field, Courtney Hawkins, he played in Japan. I know him. We were standing there and he's like, Carlos, come here. He goes, I want you to be in the front. You're going to run out the team with Pablo Sandoval, Dennis Cook, and you're going to lead us out there. You deserve it. With all of the stuff that you're doing here, you deserve it. So that just shows me, and he knows my background in Japan. So he's like, man, this guy doesn't need to do this. Like look at what his background is, and he's out there busting his ass. And this is the part I'll share with you if I haven't told you, but I probably told you, is we had a meeting at the office. This when we were in Dubai. There was a meeting that was going to happen at night. I was at the hotel with Vishnu. John was at the field. I had the car. We were in our thing, and I told Vishnu, "Hey, we got to be at we got to be there for the meeting. So I'll drive us over there. So let's get in the car and go." Well, I didn't have the pass to go to the certain parking area that I was familiar with. So when I got in there, I had to go the other way to the visitor parking. So that thing is like a maze under there. And I'm like, man, I don't know where I'm going. So I'm driving around. I'm like, oh, I don't even know where to go. So I went toward the exit. I parked the car. And then when I'm closing the door and I bent, I hit my head like right where this pen is, right here on the concrete edge structure. Like it's a low hanging structure, just whacked my head and I got knocked backwards. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, no, okay, we got to get to the meeting. We're going to be late. So I'm walking there's a security guy and I'm like, hey, how do I get to building so-and-so, whatever? And he was like, and then blood is just dripping down my face. He's like, you're bleeding. So he hands me tissues and stuff. And I was like, I don't got time to bleed. We got to get to this meeting. So I put it on my head like this. Blood, I'm trying to wipe it off on my face. We get upstairs and the meeting hadn't started yet because Kash wasn't there yet. So I'm like, okay, good. So I walk in and, I see JV and JV's like, are you all right? I was like, no, I'm not. And so we go out to the front. Allison comes. Now Allison's, pregnant at the time and everybody, and my head is just gush. It's like a gash and it's just blood everywhere. So I'm trying to clean it all up. And I'm like, thank God the meeting didn't start. And I'm putting stuff on it like this to stop it. So we get into the meeting and it stopped bleeding. I'm just sitting there, we're listening, and Kash had no idea what happened. Nobody, only the people in the office knew. So then we get the meeting's over. I get back to the other hotel and I'm buying like a soda or whatever it was at the area there. And I'm going down the pin. The guy's like, your head is bleeding. And I'm like, no, I'm good. And he was like, he's calling people because I was like, oh, I hit it in the parking. He thought I hit it in his parking garage. And I'm like, no, it's okay. And they're cleaning it, they're patching it up. And they're like, do you want us to call an ambulance? It's like 4 p.m. It's like what, 2:00 in the morning, whatever it was. And I'm like, no, I'm good. I got to go to bed and I got to get up in the morning. So the next day, it's like game day, and I'm out there. I mean, it's dried up, it's closed, but I'm out there working and doing everything, busting my ass, and nobody really knew what happened. So that's the story I wanted to share with you. But I just wanted to show the kind of work ethic that when you have leaders that want to put something on and the event of Baseball United and work for Baseball United, here I am bleeding. I'm still going. I was like, I don't have time to bleed. And then later I told Kash, I showed Kash a picture when we were at his house. And I was like, look, I was like, did you know I even cut my head off? He's like, I didn't know that. And I was like, because that's my mentality. That's what our leadership brings to the people that are working for Baseball United. I just keep going. I'll bleed tomorrow.
Whatever it takes, right?
Whatever it takes. And I believe I displayed it. And it's like, again, I'm more of like the behind the scenes, the quiet one. But here you got a former NPB opening day starter, closer that's doing clubby duty and head bleeding, crying. So when somebody says blood, sweat, and tears, literally it's blood, sweat, and tears. You see what I'm saying? But where does that come from? Right? Because if I'm also if I got a leadership of a team I'm with and nobody likes the coaches or I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna put that kind of effort into it. But that's a testament of that story is based on our leadership.
I think another great thing about this leadership in that same vein is that they lead by example. Like you mentioned, you were clubby. Kash was out there hand counting seats with a couple people on the team, I remember seeing. So it really is, it's not all talk when they're talking about that top down approach. Everybody is held to the same level of accountability in this organization. And it's a beautiful thing to see. And it's one of the reasons, that this organization is going to continue to thrive.
Exactly. And that's built. That's not just like something that's there. That starts with Kash, then it goes to John, then it goes to like Barry, then that's what we're creating. And that work ethic is what is being shown and is being displayed. Now, is it, like I said, is it all publicized? Not necessarily. But does it have to be? No. But that's what we are from on the inside, is that's what we do. Kash, somebody asked me, they said, why are you, one of the players said, why are you doing all of this? Like, why are you picking up garbage in the locker room? Why are you taking the dirty clothes and putting them in the bag? Why are you carrying the ice out there? Why are you doing all of this stuff to make sure that we have all of this stuff? I said, listen, I've been with Baseball United since the beginning. This is to me, this is part mine. You know what I mean? I helped my part, even if it's the smallest little piece of it. I take pride in it. So if I'm told by Kash or the leader to do something, I'm going to do it to my best ability. I'm not going to half-ass it. Carlos, you're in charge of this. Okay, well, I'm going to be in charge of it. I was the player, so I know what clubhouse attendants do. I know what all of that stuff, the hard work that goes into it. That's why we tip them money. That's why we do that stuff. So I wanted to make sure that, like, hey, Kash, hey, we need a speaker in the locker room. We need this. All right, let's go get it. You know what I mean? Going over the lockers. How do we set up the locker rooms? How do we set this up? Okay, let's put this player here. Let's put this player. I'm like, no, this player needs to be here because he needs more room, because I understand it from the other side. And I gave remark like John McLaren remarked to me one time. He's like, "Man," he goes, "you did a lot." He goes, "You did a lot. You didn't have to." He goes, "But you did a lot." He goes, "And the reason you did that is because Baseball United is your baby just as much as it is Cash or anybody else." And I truly believe that because even like I said, even if it's a small little piece, I've been from the very beginning. I take pride in doing that. I take pride in, representing Baseball United, carrying the ice. You see what I'm saying? I take pride in it. I don't look at it as a job that like, why are you doing that? No, no, no. If this needs to be done to make you guys get on that field and perform so that Baseball United can thrive, then I'm gonna do it. You see what I mean? So when I say I want to run through a brick wall for the leader and Cash, I am the guy that would literally take my head and run through a brick wall. I don't just say it, to say it. That's me. I do it. And that's I hope and I believe it's appreciated. I believe it's looked at. I believe it's rewarded. I truly believe that. And I'm going to continue to do everything that I can. At the same time, I'm trying to learn as much as I can. You know what I mean? Like I do baseball one-on-one classes to teach all of our employees in Dubai baseball. So like we talked about before, I didn't have a Mac. I had another computer. I got a Mac. I got the Keynote thing. I'm always trying to learn how to be creative in what I show because, and I believe if you look at my first time doing the lesson or class to where it is now, I believe it's better. I believe I speak better. I believe I present things better. I'm still learning. Sometimes the sound doesn't work on some of the stuff, but I'm still working on that. Like I'm not, I feel like I'm computer literate, but the Mac is a little different than some of the other programs. So I'm not sure on some of the things. But I'm learning. Like, hey, you got to present. You got to do this. You know what I did? I didn't know how to do that. So like to use like the thing to present and do it. I spent 8 hours one day, like watching YouTube videos on how to do something so that I can learn how to do it. So that's what I take from, Cash John and all of those guys that like, if I don't know something, like when they present on how they speak and how they do things, I try to really watch their body language. I think of it from like a baseball perspective, right? You're watching the pitcher as a hitter to, vice versa and trying to pick up little tips of what they do, what they don't do, little habits. So I try to learn as much as I possibly can from that side so that if I'm presented with that opportunity, right? What happens if, we go back to Dubai and then Cash goes, okay, now you're in charge of this. I might have to try to figure it out because I've never done that before. So I may have to take everything I'm trying to learn and apply it to whatever's required to get the job done. That's my mentality of what I see.
Well, Carlos, I appreciate your time. I appreciate what you do for our organization. I know everybody else does, like you said, even if it's not like super in the public face of everything, the work you're doing is incredibly, incredibly important to our mission here. And I'm looking forward to the next time we get to speak and reconnect.
No, me too, man. It's awesome. I drove you home after that Yankee game. We had great conversations and stuff. And the one thing I will say this in my closing part is, I communicate with these kids every day. Whether it's watching their videos or talking to them or something, I communicate somehow with people in Pakistan watching those kids and just India. They're excited. They're excited for Baseball United. So, to Barry Larkin and Cash and Mariano and John is if you have done part of what you've set out for from the very beginning when you guys created Baseball United is to reach the masses. You have already started doing it. And that's the part that you hear a lot is we want to reach a billion people. Well, you can't reach a billion until you get through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But it's already started. And I see it from the youth perspective and the baseball side. So if I have to give any message to anybody out there, it's started. And it's just going to continue to grow and grow and grow until we become the most elite organization for the time frame that we play baseball.
Carlos Mirabal, we'll talk soon, my friend. Thank you so much for joining.
Appreciate it. As always, Liam, thank you.